Welcome to iceDQ Data Reliability Experience, episode number 6. Here's a scenario I want you all to sit with for a second. A critical report lands on an executive desk. The numbers don't look right. Nobody knows where the data came from. Nobody can tell you what touched it along the way. And nobody can say with confidence whether it can be trusted. Sound familiar? That moment, that uncomfortable, expensive moment, is what we're going to be pulling the curtains behind of today, and what data lineage is all about, and why it matters more than most teams realize, and what it takes to get it right. Welcome again to the Data Reliability Experience. I'm your host, Christina Ian, and this is episode 6. I'm joined today by two guests who live and breathe this from different angles. First, Mindy Becker, Director of Data Governance at Right Triangle Consulting, where she leads initiatives that improve data quality, trust, and business value. Mindy brings over a decade of experience across finance, life insurance, healthcare, and has a track record of implementing governance framework, optimizing data integration, and delivering analytic solutions that actually help organizations make better decisions. What I love about Mindy's perspective is that she doesn't just talk about governance in theory. She has built in some of the most complex, high-stakes data environments out there. She also deeply committed to giving back, mentoring future professionals through Prep KC and supporting community organizations, including the American Cancer Society Hope Lodge, Firsthand, and the Junior League of Kansas City. That tells you everything about the kind of leader she is. Mindy, so glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
And also with us, Shrikant Patil. He was in our episode 5. So Shrikant is our Chief Product Officer at iceDQ, a seasoned technology leader with over 15 years of experience in data management and software development. Shrikant is responsible for ensuring customer satisfaction, driving successful outcomes at iceDQ, and brings together deep expertise in data modeling, agile methodologies, enterprise architecture, and SQL. He sees firsthand every day how organizations struggle with and ultimately solve data reliability challenges at scale. Shrikant, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Christina. I'm excited to be here and looking to learn from Mindy's experience today.
And of course, welcome back. Now let's set the stage. With this, let's start with the foundational question. But before we jump into that, Mindy, I do want to just learn a little bit about you and have you worked across all these industries before. What first drew you to data governance, and what has kept you passionate about helping organizations build trusted data?
I backed my way into data governance. I worked in finance for 10 years before I ever started actually working with data, as they put it. I mean, I think anybody and everybody works with data. I think as a consultant, I've told people that all the time. And with Prep KC, when I work with students now, I'm telling them that all the time, because when I work with a student and they're like, oh, that's way too complicated, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, well, what profession do you think you're going to be in? And they will tell me real estate, or they're going to tell me I'm going to be a nurse. And I just kind of laugh at them. I'm like, you're definitely going to work with data. You're going to need to know this. Everybody works with information now. I think almost every business is an information business. And when I was an underwriter and then I was in corporate financial analysis, I just kept moving my way closer and closer to wanting to know more about what this information was about. And it was more about, where is this information at? Why can't I know more about it? And I just kept getting closer and closer to that until I got to, oh, that's really what I want to be doing. I want to be in information more than I want to be doing this other job. And that's how I got to where I am. And I started working with Right Triangle. And my first job with Right Triangle was actually building out a testing solution for a company. And so I've always really enjoyed data quality and testing more. And my sister actually said that I really enjoyed that job because I got to tell highly skilled people that they made an ugly baby. And that may or may not be true, that I did enjoy that job for that reason. But I also think that, data testing and data quality is the last line of defense of having the best product out there. We're all on the same team. We all want the business to do the best that the business can do. And this is the last thing saying if it's good or not good, right? Like in a testing of the SDLC process, like this is it. This is, did you get it right or not? But then data quality takes that test script and tests it regularly, tests it daily. And just like data governance isn't just the check mark for our arbiters or something at the end of a year, it has to be done on a regular basis. Data quality is the same thing. Did somebody get training on the same training regularly? Like you never know when there could be a hiccup. So you have to have it every day. You have to have it checked on a regular basis because somebody could have typed it in thousands when it should have been done in hundreds. It just is, you don't know when information can get changed. And that's why Lineage is also so important to be a part of that process.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to hear that journey, starting kind of from a different area of your life at Right Triangle and just to end up where you are today. And curiosity, at least what my husband will say, has killed my cats many of times. So it's very cool to hear that. And then the ugly baby definitely stood out. So, and with that, because, when people think about and hear data lineage, their eyes kind of glaze over. It sounds like plumbing, or even worse yet, reading your 401k. I don't know if anybody ever's done that, but it definitely puts me to sleep. But Mindy, you spent so many years in these environments where stakes around trusted data are extremely high. In your experience, where does data lineage actually fit into the data quality conversation? And are these two separate problems? You kind of touched based on it already. And are they the same problem, or are they the same problem wearing the different hats?
I mean, I would say that they're hand in hand. I don't think you can have a data quality problem without having a lineage problem. I don't think you can get to the end paper. I think you always start with the end result. You always start with who's looking at the information at the very end. And if somebody at the end is saying, I know this is wrong, then you've missed a step somewhere before that. And you don't want to fix it at the end. You want to fix it at the beginning, because you don't know who's seeing it in between, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're only fixing it on the surface, then you're always going to have that issue again and again and again. You want to fix it then at the very point that it's wrong. So that's a lineage problem. That's not, they go hand in hand. If you only fix it when this guy's like, oh, I know this is wrong, but I'm only going to type it in this one report here, then he's not helping the company at that point. He's only helping the one report. So, and in that time, you've now made it a double issue, because now this one report is correct, but if that same number is on 3 different reports, it now shows 3 different ways. So, and that you're now reporting it differently. You could have an auditing problem now. So that's why lineage is also an issue. And it also helps in that, because you want it corrected at the source. So you have lineage to prove at what point the issue went wrong, because it could be a source issue, or it could be a calculation along the way. It could be either one of those problems. And so that's why keeping track of lineage and knowing in between where the issue happened is, I think, together is important, knowing both of those in data quality.
I love that. Now, Shrikant, from iceDQ's product lens, when customers come to you with data quality problems, how often does lineage turn out to be like the hidden piece that they weren't thinking about?
A lot of times, and I agree with what Mindy said, data quality and data lineage are complementary to each other. If you just pick one, you'll just get half the truth. But if you pick both, you'll get the full picture of your data reliability landscape, right? So I look at lineage, and then now lineage also, there are different types of lineage. There is data lineage, now this new term talking about business lineage, which Mindy might be more aware of than me. I look at lineage as the connectivity tissue of data quality, right? For example, a data quality can tell you, customer revenue dropped, or a column contains null, or the data arrived late. But the rule cannot necessarily tell you that, hey, where the issue originated, right? Like Mindy said, you might look at a BI report or a last table or the end report and it has issue, but lineage is important to tell you, hey, this was populated from this 20 tables, these 20 tables was populated from these 500 sources or something like that. So the
Mhm.
ability to go and find out the root cause is one of the key use cases of data quality and data lineage together, right? So, in short, I look at data quality as something that tells me there is something wrong, and lineage tells me where it came from and what it may affect and where we should intervene to fix it, right?
Mhm.
Now, from a product standpoint, customers these days are asking both, right? So they are not just saying, hey, just give me data lineage or just give me data quality because their landscapes are getting complex, their pipelines are increasing more and more. So they are looking for both the things together as part of any product or platform, so to speak. And the requirements are also getting complex with lineage because now people are not only looking at tables. Now they have 10 different ETL tools. They have cores. Now they have APIs and whatnot. So they're looking to put all of this together as part of their data reliability journey or to make sure their data is reliable across the ecosystem. So it's a key
Wow.
piece.
I understand that. That is now. Let's talk about the real world payoff. Mindy, once an organization actually has solid lineage in place, once they can trace the data from source to consumption, what does that unlock? What are like the biggest, most painful data quality problems that suddenly become solvable that weren't before?
I mean, they're saving a lot of time. There's the time that's spent searching for where the issue is at. Like you can quickly find the location of where the issue is at. There's the time it takes to understand what the issue is as well. Like there's people that can say, I know it's wrong, but they don't know why it's wrong or how it's wrong. They can just say, my gut says this doesn't seem right to me. But if it's wrong because they think I'm $1 or $2 off, or I'm 10 to 15 people off, like it's wrong versus it's hundreds off is a much different issue. Lineage helps you figure that out. Back to, you know, how it's aggregated. If it was aggregated only using 3 reports when it should have been 100 reports, I mean, there's a vast difference there, right? So I think lineage really helps with that, because if there is a break in the lineage because 7 reports weren't delivered on time, like those kinds of issues help. And knowing the lineage helps with that. Like, oh, we didn't get that on time. We can rerun now. Like lineage helps know those kinds of issues, helps you get ahead of those issues, saying, oh, we didn't deliver on time, but we could do this by this time, also helps with that. And lineage helps you get to the next step faster as well. You now know where your information's at, so you don't have to spend as much time building out the next report. Like it helps in creating your information that much faster the next time you need another board or system created.
I love that. And as a small business owner myself, I can already see some of the relationships of just having proper data lineage to create those reports. What something took me 5 hours now takes me 20 minutes because of those foundations have been, established. Now, Shrikant, anything you'd like to add from what you see across like iceDQ's customer base, or are there any particular industries or use cases that come to mind where lineage to quality connections are especially pronounced?
Absolutely. And what Mindy mentioned is correct. When you're trying to build something, you're trying to explore and do new things, lineage helps a lot because all the pieces and foundations are in place, right? It also helps when it comes to data quality to do root cause analysis and impact analysis. If something failed in due to a data quality rule, why it failed, and then where it is going to get impacted downstream, right? So it allows you to do that. But one that essentially I think about a lot, and that's one of the direction we are taking in the product, is opportunity around using Lineage to proactively improve the data quality coverage.
Mhm.
What I mean by that is if you look at it today, data quality, people will look at a table, look at a column, look at a report, and create data quality rules around it. But if I have correct lineage or proper lineage, then I can go upstream and downstream and try to figure out, hey, where are all the rules I can create? I can essentially create not only simple standard basic rules, but complex rules, meaning the lineage will tell me, hey, this column is going into this column and this is the transformation. I can tell AI to look at that and generate a rule which is more complex and satisfies those boundary conditions, right? So lineage helps me to do coverage. And the way I look at coverage is three directions or three categories, right? One is asset coverage. Hey, are these tables and these columns I see in lineage, do they have quality control? So if all the rules I create, if they are tagged to the table and column, then I can do that. It also allows me to do flow coverage, meaning let's say the data is going from this table to this table or this column to this column, and looks like this column is important. So are there boundary conditions or checks around these columns and transformations? So the data flow coverage allows me to rules around that, helps me from lineage. And the third is the business risk coverage, right?
Mhm.
Because if you have tables and columns and transformation, I have you rules around it, and all of those information is stacked to your data products, critical data elements, which essentially you can surface via lineage and governance. That is the biggest unlock for any organization when they put lineage and data quality together, right? So from my standpoint or from the product standpoint, the way we're thinking is a lineage turns essentially a quality symptom into a diagnosable supply chain. And that's what we're trying to do in our product. We're trying to surface data quality issues on top of data lineage and business lineage for organizations.
Well,
Thank
and
you.
if you have all of that, sorry to cut in, but if you have all of that already available and written in that way, you're two steps ahead to be able to do any of your privacy and any of your other governance work as well. Like this gets you the stepping stones needed for much of your governance work too. So
Exactly.
And Mindy, please cut in. We love a good banter, and I think in our last episode there was a bit of a debate, so we'll save that, And with that, so here's, I do want to get practical because I've heard this myself. When somebody is in leadership and they're at these meetings and, we need to document our data lineage. Every engineer, every IT person I've ever met literally panics because year-long documentation is probably one of the worst things to address if they're doing it already kind of past that point. Mindy, how do you counsel organizations on where to actually start in a way that builds momentum without grinding everything to a halt or trying to play catch up?
I mean, being in governance, I love documentation. It's my bread and butter. I love anybody that's going to keep up with documentation, but I get where they're coming from. I mean, it feels like the noose that's around everybody's neck that they're like, oh, just to keep up with everything evergreen just sounds like it's too much. But how else do you know where it's at? Like, how else can you prove that you know where your information's at? How do you know who's using it? How do you know if they're using it correctly without documentation? I think the best thing that I tell anybody is just start today. Start with what you have, start with the projects that you're working on, and start documenting what you're working on now and go forward with that. And then as you work on projects, as you touch a project, work on that project, add that to what you're going. At least do that. At least when you touch a project, ensure that you are working on documentation as you work through a project. But I think AI right now is helping us in ways that is phenomenal. Like, I think it's helping us get through some of that documentation faster than people realize that we can. I mean, I don't want AI governing AI. Like there are some things there that you always need a human in the loop in those scenarios. But I think other things, there are a lot of great products out there too. I mean, each of the catalogs that are out there are making large steps in helping with that, as well as data quality tools. I mean, so many great tools out there to help with each of these fields that in Lineage as well, and observability tools. Just, I think, get started today on the projects that you are working on. I'd also get started on the highest ranking, all of your dashboards. Who goes to the COO? Who goes to the CFO? If this is seen weekly, ensure that you've got those first. Get the lineage of those so that you know what is being seen, so that when there is a crisis on those, you can quickly look through those and you know where it's at and otherwise. And you'd be surprised by the 80-20 rule of those. If it's the ones that people are seeing, you might recognize how much of the other information you may or may not be using, to be quite honest.
I love that. And I don't know if you saw me light up because I was hoping somebody was going to say AI, because that has been a huge hot topic and it will continue to be. Now, Shrikant, from a tooling and platform perspective, how can the right technology take some of that manual burden off teams, helping them build Lineage or more incrementally and sustainably?
With advent of AI, it helps a lot. But the way I look at this is, and we're working with customers these days where we say, don't, lineage the whole enterprise. As Mindy said, start with a dashboard, start with a data product, start with a critical data element, and work your way through that, right? So, from a product standpoint, what essentially we allow customers to do is put all of those things together in the product, right? In the product, we have now something called as knowledge graph, where we have physical assets, where we automatically catalog tables, columns, and schemas, all that. But then we also allow users to bring in critical data elements, data products, processes. And then we are using AI to build, the lineage extractors from these data sources. But the lineage extractor, or if you look at data lineage, it's only a technical fact, right? It does not give business meaning to the customers, right? So we are using then AI to bring in the lineage technical facts. Then we are also using the AI to give it a meaning. Hey, by looking at the sample data, by looking at the metadata, the description, tell me what it looks like. And then we are asking the humans to confirm if that meaning makes sense or not, right? So essentially harvesting technical facts, using AI to harvest those facts, and as well as the business meaning, and then asking humans to confirm if that meaning makes sense or not, right? And then once you have that, and once you prove that with one data product, one critical data element, that increases the confidence of not only the technical teams who are implementing it, but also the business teams who are essentially going to benefit off of it, right? And once you have that one thing, then from there you can repeat that process again and again for different data products, for different critical data elements. And in iceDQ, what we are doing is essentially calling this kind of a context engine, where we are bringing the technical, the business, the AI facts, all of them together, and giving organizations and customer much more information that is required for them to take any decision or to take any call within their data enterprise.
Thank you for that breakdown. And I think we've covered, the foundation, having a good one from the start, and where folks can start now, like just for today, take it chunk by chunk, like from the dashboards, and to what you said, Mindy, the 80-20 rule, which I love that concept. Now, I want to talk about that fire drill moment because every data team has been there. Something breaks, and executive X is asking questions. The team is scrambling. It's like fixing the plane while it's flying right now. So when it's in that moment, trying to figure out what happened, where it started, what downstream systems are affected. Mindy, how does having solid, lineage change that experience? What's different about having a team with good lineage can respond to that versus one that is flying blind?
To go to a document that shows you the lineage of where the information is going versus giving me a report and then I have to go talk to a person saying, do you know who owns this report? Do you know who last ran this report? Okay, then I go to the next person. Do you think you know who did it? I mean, you're spending hours just to get to the query of the report. And then once you get to the query of the report, then you find the tables. I mean, you're taking hours of research down to minutes of finding out information. It's taking hours away of being able to find the exact problem. And then once you find the problem, you're able to turn around and hopefully say, we didn't receive the information on time, or this is the issue, or you're able to give an issue that you're able to say X reasons to resolve, or you're able to at least say issue, this is the resolution, this is how we will resolve it, versus days to find issue first and then how will you resolve it. I mean, it's a game changer for businesses as far as time not spent just searching for issues.
And we all know the saying, time is money, and in business it could be millions in minutes being wasted there. Now, Shrikant, I imagine iceDQ customers have stories like this, the before and after of having lineage when something goes wrong. What does that shift look like in practice?
It's a big shift. For them, as you say, it's a time saver, but it allows them to take more decisions quickly and essentially explore more too because of lineage. Before lineage, if something broke, as Mindy mentioned, they had to contact who owns the report. The report would go to the person who wrote an ETL process. They would go to the person who data modeled it, right? So it essentially is scattered information. And with lineage and governance and documentation, we put all of that together in one place, and you have one stop shop, as Mindy mentioned, one visual dashboard or one variable graph database or a system which can answer your question. So it's like your a Wikipedia of your organization, so to speak, right? So in iceDQ, the way we do it is we allow users to create, data quality rules, observability rules. These rules, we allow them to link to tables and columns for which we pull in the data lineage. But then these tables and columns are linked to your data processes, business processes, data products, then for which there are already stewards, business owners, technical owners. So we surface all of this information in our lineage graph where we are giving the data lineage, we are layering business lineage on top of it and pushing the observability and data quality signals into those lineage graphs or lineage visualizations, allowing users to help quickly understand what went wrong, where it went wrong, what needs to be done, who needs to be contacted, what needs to be fixed, and things like that, right?
If you have this problem, but it's easy for people to say, yes, I own this report, but to say that they are data owner, like through the entire process, they're like, no, that's all IT, or they're not a data steward because that's before it gets to me. I just own it right here. I just own it in this report. Lineage helps teach people, you own the information, period. It doesn't, you don't own it just in this one report. You own the information. So you own it in this entire process. So lineage helps prove the point that you own it from point A all the way till this report. So lineage helps teach people that's also helps in that it helps create a steward, it helps create a business owner and teach the rest of governance. That lineage really helps in that process too.
Completely agree, right? Ownership is essentially key piece for any successful project, or any, be it governance, be it data quality. With lineage and governance, that essentially puts a stamp on who does what and who's responsible for what, right? No?
No.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I will make note of that on the technical side there. And of course, this is the one day this week I have leaf blowers outside of my window. I hope you guys can't hear them. Okay.
Very loud, but it's,
You can't hear it?
yeah.
Oh no. Why does it do that right now? I'm not sure this afternoon. Okay. Give me like 10 seconds. They're like right by my window. And then I'm just going to jump back in, kind of commenting on what we just talked about. Oh God. He's give me just another minute. He's making that little grass line right outside this window. They were here just earlier. Okay. Sorry.
While you're waiting, India had a question around business lineage. I'm hearing a lot of people want to do data quality at business level, business asset level, but also want to do business lineage. What is your understanding or observation when people say business lineage? What are they really looking for?
I think what they're saying is taking it from, like, when you do a modeling stance, they're thinking of it as in that point is just they're thinking, this is how I look at information. And instead of like from a table stance of how to join it, they're just thinking at a logical level, not as a physical level, as how I take it is the difference between the two. I don't think of it any different as a business lineage. I just was like, oh, okay, you're just looking at it logically in your brain is how I would think the two.
Yeah, I've got so many different answers from so many different people. Some people say they're looking at from system level. Some people are saying they're looking at from a business process to business process level, right?
Yeah.
But essentially, what you're trying to say essentially is whatever their context or whatever they are used to or understand the taxonomy or object standpoint, that's how they want to look at it. That's when we basically call it a business lineage, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, no.
Okay.
First,
All right.
yeah.
They just stopped. I might actually keep that that question from Shrikant to Mindy in there. I think it was worth it to have in there, and I'll make note of that. So I'll jump back in from the previous statements there. So thank you guys for that insight there. I think it was really important to cover some of what that looks like from a fire kind of standpoint. Now, Mindy, you've already mentioned AI, which is what we're going to be jumping into next, because it is completely reshaping any governance and lineage matters right now. Every organization is trying to build AI on top of their data, and suddenly the question of where this data came from and can we trust it has never been more consequential. Mindy, how do you think and see lineage and data quality working together, making AI trustworthy and not just accurate on the benchmark, but genuinely reliable in production?
I think AI has made all of governance more prominent than it's ever been beforehand. When I first got into consulting, governance used to be something that was tacked on the backside of a lot of our contracts. It was like, oh, what would make that contract to that migration a lot easier if you put a little bit of governance and thought process into it. If you put some data quality on it, that would be a whole lot easier on that project, not just throwing it or a lift and shift. But it's the first time we're getting contracts solely for governance, solely for data quality, because so many people are AI ready, and then they're thinking, oh, is my information ready? Is my information as good as I thought it was? And I think data quality and knowing where their information is coming from and being able to prove that their information was good from source is, people are really worried about that now, and AI is making them worried about it. I'm like, great, be worried about it. Let's all want to prove that our information is good from source. And also being able to prove at what point their information changed, or at what point AI might have changed their information is a huge part of it. Like, is AI ethically using the information, or at what point did it recalculate information, can only be proven by the lineage. Like, if the information changed at A, B, Q, whatever, you have to have the lineage along the way with the data quality proving that, and then whatever your LLM did, and then the same thing afterwards to be able to show that. You have to have lineage the entire time, and then what the governance around your LLM, and then the same thing afterwards to be able to do that.
That's completely understandable. And to your point, governance is more prevalent nowadays because of AI. Now, Shrikant, final thoughts from you from the iceDQ perspective. What role does data reliability infrastructure play in making AI investments actually pay off? And where does Lineage fit in that picture?
Sure. So if you look at AI, it won't give you the outcomes you're looking for if it does not have the right context or enough context to take that decision or to make that call, right? So these days you will hear this new word, context engineering, context layer. Essentially, your AI needs information. Now I've been working for last year or so in such a way that all my context for my product design, for my product engineering is sitting in a Git repository, organized, and I'm throwing my AI agents towards that context to build features, to update features, to design it, to debug issues and things like that, right? So for data reliability, that's what we are also doing in our product. So we are bringing out, we have knowledge graph, which is what basically we are considering as our truth layer, right? And with data quality and observability, which is our rules engine, we are giving an evidence layer. So now we are combining the truth layer and the evidence layer together in the product and going to give more data reliable context to the AI, where the AI can go and essentially get, hey, this is the table, what are the impacted assets, what are the issues in here, who is the owner, what's the related critical data elements for this table, what are the business process consuming this table, and things like that. So if we give all of that context to AI, AI can go and build a BI report and then send it to review to person who's responsible for it. AI can go and fix an ETL pipeline because they know where the data is coming from or where the data is going, right? So with iceDQ, we are building that context layer, but a data reliable context layer, because we have the quality and observability along with knowledge graph, along with lineage, making it much more powerful for organizations to trust their AI. From a data standpoint, but as well as from an execution or building of any of the pipelines or reports in their data ecosystem.
And I think the other thing that's good about Lineage and knowing all this, because I think one of the things that a lot of people don't think about with AI is at the point in time that you're taking information away, you really need to be able to prove that point too, especially with healthcare. Like, at one point, are you removing a subset of information, and how are you proving that AI is no longer using that subset of information is really critical with healthcare information. When you're teaching a machine to use it, how did you prove that the machine is no longer still using that learned information with their trained information? So Lineage helps prove all of that too.
Right.
And Mindy, any final comments that you want to make sure our listeners, tune in and take away from this episode?
I mean, I think data quality is a really huge part of ensuring information is accurate and is trusted. If you want people to continue to use your information and you want them to trust information, keeping accurate information is a key part of that. And so ensuring that you have a data quality trust score it published is a great way of keeping that available for your company. So that's one of the ways of doing it. And I think Lineage is another way. So those are two big ways of keeping that available for your company. So
awesome. Thank you. Any final thoughts, Shrikant, on our awesome takeaways that Mindy shared with us today?
I completely agree. Essentially, AI is fundamentally changing the data landscape. And you need quality governance lineage, and not as just a static information, but an evolving information, point in time information to help you accelerate more or to do more with your AI within the organization.
Amazing. Mindy, thank you so much for bringing such practical wisdom and real world experience to this conversation. Where can people find more about you and about your work?
You can find me and Right Triangle both on LinkedIn and on the web at righttriangle.com.
Thank you. And Shrikant, as always, thank you for keeping us grounded in what data teams are actually dealing with every day. For anyone curious about iceDQ, who helps organizations build data reliability, all the links will be in the show notes. And with that, today's discussion reminds us that trusted data doesn't happen by accident. It starts with understanding where data comes from, how it moves, and why that visibility is essential for quality, governance, and AI. Mindy, thank you so much for sharing your experience and practical insights. And Shrikant, thank you for helping connect those ideas to what organizations are facing today. That's a wrap on episode 6 of the Data Reliability Experience.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If this episode sparked a new idea or inspired a conversation with your team, we'd love for you to continue the journey with us. Subscribe to the Data Reliability Experience on all your favorite podcast platforms. Follow iceDQ across social media, and be sure to connect with today's guests, Mindy Becker and Shrikant, on LinkedIn to continue the conversation and support their work in advancing trusted data practices. If you'd like to join us as a guest on future episodes, simply scan the QR code or reach out to us using the contact information in the show notes. We'd love to hear your story. I'm your host, Christina Nian. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, stay curious, stay data-driven, and keep reliability at the heart of your innovation.